Ever stop to think how much those little impulse buys on your phone are adding up to, and how many subscription payments are sneaking out of your bank account every single month? Before I started using Rocket Money, let me tell you, I had no idea. But the first time I logged in, I saved $435. I couldn't believe it. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I just love the dashboard. It shows everything in one place, even the subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. And if there's something you don't need, Rocket Money helps you cancel it. Plus, it alerts you if a bill increases or if something unusual pops up in your account. It's basically like having a personal assistant for your money. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Kim today. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of January 20th, 2024. Here's hour one.
I always like to kick things off with something super interesting. And listen up. In the next 10 years, the world is going to see its first, not millionaire, not billionaire. I'm talking about the world's first trillionaire. That's $1,000 billion. Oh my gosh. Okay. Since 2020, the net worth of the 5 richest men in the world, including Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Larry Ellison, are up 114%. And guess what? They're on the short list to be the first trillionaire. Reminds me of that old joke, okay? Bill Gates, he walks into a bar and everyone inside becomes an instant millionaire. That's right. He just walks into a bar and everybody's a millionaire. On average. Get it? Yeah, that was a good one. Hey, listen, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And to those of you joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you. We're just thrilled to have you with us. And to our loyal listeners, a welcome back. You look marvelous, darling. And I'm, of course, Kim Komando, America's digital goddess here once again. It's the biggest show. It's the best show. It's the most trusted show about all things digital. You can find us on over 420 top stations from coast to coast. And you can find us streaming commercial-free as a podcast, as a webcast, as part of the Komando community. That's right. Just head over to komando.com and hit that button that says community. And yes, I did say commercial-free. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching 375,000 U.S. service members serving in 175 countries and 200 ships at sea. And I know that you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And I need 2 things from each and every one of you. Number 1, tell one person about the Kim Komando Show. That's it. Just one person. That's all. It's the easiest, the best way for us to grow this show. And secondly, make sure that you always tell me what you want to know more about. If you have any questions, head over to komando.com and hit that link that says email Kim. All right, just for you, every single day I check out at least 35 different websites to make sure that you and I are both up to date on all things digital. And here are the top 5 things you need to know right now, starting with, have you seen this headline? It says, I was gang raped in the metaverse. That's right. It says, I was gang raped in the metaverse. Now, let me tell you something. This is nothing like a real world assault. The woman making these claims to the Daily Mail is a psychotherapist by the name of Nina Patel. She even allowed the Daily Mail to publish her photo. Her story is that while wearing a virtual reality headset, she was attacked, in her words, by 4 male avatars, and they ganged up on her and they raped her. Okay. Well, in Meta's virtual world, the avatars, they just kind of float around. Okay. They have hips, but they have no legs. Okay. They have no sexual organs. Now, in Meta's virtual world, when you take the VR headset off, okay, the virtual world simply ceases to exist around you. So Ms. Patel was not raped. Okay. The only ones harmed are real victims in real worlds of real violent crimes. Okay. Patel is not one of them. She could have just taken the headset off. She was not physically assaulted. Ugh. People. Moving on to number 2 is one of the biggest password dumps ever. 71 million stolen credentials found on an underground market from sites like Facebook, Roblox, eBay, Yahoo, and more were found on the dark web this past week. Talking about email addresses, passwords, and a lot more. Nearly 25 million passwords that have never been leaked before were for sale on the dark web. And about a third of the 70 million emails found that they hadn't been leaked either. Okay, Troy Hunt, he's a creator of a website called Have I Been Pwned? We talk about it here a lot here on the show. And hackers are obviously up in their game. They're using stealer malware. So the software gets into a person's device, and every time they log onto a website, it secretly records the username and password. Now, the scary part is the person using the device has no idea that any of this is going on. So what do you need to do right now? Update all your passwords. I know it's not fun. You can go to haveibeenpwned.com, enter in your email address to see if you're on the list. Spoiler, you probably are. Moving on to number 3, TikTok mutiny. What's that? Now, even though there's no military draft in America, as Gen Zers join, they're taking to social media to whine about it. They whine about the low play, about having to get physically fit. They whine about the lack of privacy, not getting enough sleep. And they whine because military leadership has no time to discuss their feelings. Well, the Army fell short of its recruiting target by 25% last year because almost a quarter of America is just too fat to join. Too many others aren't eligible because they are felons. So what's happening is that Gen Zers are joining the military and they're firing up TikTok and they're spreading all these videos out saying, oh, I can't get to keep my phone, so I'm going to go on TikTok and I don't like it. I don't know why they have their phones anyway. When they're in basic training, the enemy is watching. Moving on to number 4, the elections and AI. Oh, it's going to be a nightmare. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, so they're going to attempt to use authenticity programs to check news and images for trustworthiness. They're going to add digital credentials that use its AI image generators. Okay, is this enough? Okay, let me tell you something. We are already deep into the next presidential election where AI isn't just coming, it is already here. And it's not just the presidential election we have to worry about. It's every member of the House. It's thousands of local offices. We are already seeing computer-generated videos of Biden, Trump, and all the others saying things that they never, ever said. So what is happening when we can no longer trust our eyes and ears when it comes to voting? We can't right now. We just can't. And finally, this coming in at number 5. Oh, this is an unbelievable story from Massachusetts. A woman is accused of trying to poison her husband with soup, all because of a romance scammer posing as a soap opera star. What? Yes. Roxanne Doucette thought she was texting Thorsten Kaye from The Bold and the Beautiful. And one of the texts, the person she thought was Thorsten Kaye tells her, "You have to get rid of your husband, honey. I miss you so much." So what does she do? She poisons a bowl of soup and gives it to her husband. Things go south fast. He gets super sick. She has to call 911. He heads to the hospital. Family visit the hospital. One of the daughters like, this doesn't seem right. She looks at her mom's text messages. And there she sees her mother texting the scammer, making an amazing soup. It's a special potion. He will be hungry when he gets back, just enough for him. And after serving it, she says, "Hubby got back not feeling well. Maybe I can collect the life insurance." Now she's charged with attempted murder. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about romance scams right now. I get calls about this all the time. Like some guy says, "Oh, Kim, I met the most beautiful woman online and she just loves me and she's from Russia and she wants to be my bride and I got to send her some money." Okay. You know, whenever anybody starts asking for money, then they're playing on your emotions, right? It's just a trap that really anybody can fall into. Debbie Montgomery Johnson, she's a prime example of how anybody can be targeted. Okay, let me tell you about Debbie. She's smart, okay? I mean, I looked at her credentials. She's an Air Force veteran. She's a former banker. Despite this, Debbie lost a lot of money. Hey, Debbie, thanks for being here. Take us through your journey of this scam.
Well, thanks, Kim, for having me. It's so important that the victim's voice is heard in this particular scenario. It happened to me in 2010 when my husband had passed away suddenly. And I was home, 4 kids, one at home, running his company, working my own job. And 6 months after he had died, my friends decided I needed to have a life. And they meant, I'd been married almost 26 years. So they said, you need something other than work. And so they got me into dating, which was daunting in itself when I was 51, almost 52. And they said, try online dating, it's safe. And for me, that was the big word, safe.
So you set up an online profile and put up a few pictures, some fun facts about yourself. And then Mr. Right Now approached you, huh?
Well, I was on a faith-based site. So I thought, again, it was safe. That was my big word. He wasn't the first one. There were several other guys, but it was funny. You've seen the wife beater t-shirts?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Without the sleeves. A lot of guys were showing up between 55 and 60 were showing up with those, or they were showing up hanging over motorcycles. And I wasn't terribly impressed. My late husband was a brilliant guy, and we were both Air Force officers for many, many years. And so I was looking for someone that was business savvy, that had a company. That it turned out my guy was international. He had lost his wife, and he looked well. He wrote well.
All totaled, you lost, is this right? You lost $1 million?
I did, and it was over 2 years. It didn't happen all at one time. The one thing I want people to know is I didn't have $1 million, but over that 2-year period, he became family. He actually became family to me very quickly.
So this went on and it continued. I'm still trying to get to that $1 million mark, because that's just
$1 million. It actually, over the 2 years, it might have started at $45, then it was $2,500, then it would be $1,000 or a $10,000. It was increments. And yeah, it seemed like a lot of money. And from a former banker's point of view, I look back now and, I've heard the transaction tells the story. If anybody had ever watched my wire transactions over my 50-something years, except for buying real estate, I'd never done a wire transfer. That should have been a clue right off the bat. There was something going on here that someone should have alerted me to say, hey, Deb, you might want to step back. Because over the process, the criminals, the scammers, for lack of a better term, they try to isolate you from family and friends, which they do very well. And middle of the night, I only had one of my 4 children still at home. So I would be on the computer and I would, question him about something. And he always had a plausible answer to why something didn't really sound right to me. Or I sent a package to his son in England and it got returned. I sent a package to him in Hong Kong. It got returned. I'm like, why are these things happening? He always had an answer.
So what would you say to anybody who's listening right now who may find they're listening and they're thinking to themselves, Debbie, you know what? I'm in the same spot. Or I just met this guy, or I met this gal, whoever it may be, and they're asking me for $50, $100. They need airfare to come see me. They're sick. Their son's sick. Their daughter needs to get to a new school, or whatever that sob story is. What do you say to them? How do you shake them out of it? Because I'll tell you, I have gotten the calls here on the show, and where I have said to one guy gave $400,000 to some woman, and I walked him through the whole scenario, and I said, "Are you still going to talk to her?" And he said, "Yes," even though he thought it could kind of almost be a scam, which it was.
But you're not thinking that it's a scam. At that point, the manipulation is so intricate, and there's a process. It's called the amygdala hijack, and the brain functions funny. We don't know what's going through the brain. And I used to say my heart ruled my head. Well, my head actually took over, and your fight or flight, and you want to believe. Those of us of a certain age, but actually it's any age group now, we want to trust people. And you don't look for the bad. Criminal thinking is different than our thinking. And you can't convince somebody that they're in a scam. You just can't, no matter what someone would say to you. I work with a lot of victims now, a lot of survivors through an organization called SCARS. And if you don't get to somebody within 2 weeks of them being contacted, it's very difficult to get them out of it until they're broken. And that's a tough place. I have women writing to me saying, I wish I'd heard your story before. And I can't do it alone. We have to work together to stop the victim blame, because the victim, the only thing they did wrong was say hello to a stranger.
Yeah.
We all can be taken, and we're seeing that. I saw in the news this morning about a woman who was taken in what used to be the grandparent scam, but it was an AI generated scam where a woman got a phone call and it was her son.
Those are popping up all over. I mean, they are. And it's a kid. It's pretending to be a child and a kidnapping, and their AI deep fake videos and photos and voices. I mean, it's
horrendous.
It's like it just keeps getting worse and worse, and it's escalating and escalating and escalating. And unfortunately, like you mentioned, we can't get these organized crime, and it is organized crime because they're outside the United States. Well, now you're out telling your story, and you're going to help a whole bunch of folks doing that. Debbie, thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. Romance scams. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. You get the same message from your ISP. Hey, we've raised your rate. It's all part of our great service. Okay, well, how do you get your internet bill down? Now, first of all, it's tempting to sign up for the highest price, fastest internet plan, but you just may not need it. What you want to do is make your best guess about how many hours you stream video, play games, browse the web, and more. Call your internet provider, and you may be able to drop a price tier. And when you do, most of the time, the answer when you start asking for a deal, they're going to say, oh, we're sorry, we can't offer you a deal. You want to play hardball. You want to ask to speak with a retention specialist. Those are the folks there who can cut the deals. Once again, the retention specialists. All right, before we go back to all of your phone calls, as well as our security tip of the week and that news about AI, I have to give you a big warning about Google, because if you haven't used your Google accounts for a while, you really need to log in. Just do it right now, because otherwise Google's going to start wiping things out. So, and everything when they do is going to be gone. I'm talking about your Gmail, Google Drive, your docs, your pictures, YouTube selections, whatever it may be, you name it. So here's what you need to do. Just log into your Google account. Okay, that's all it is. Just log it in. And maybe send yourself an email or something like that, so that this way you tell Google, I use this account, do not remove it. Do not remove it. So again, if you haven't logged into your Google account, just go ahead, do it now while you're thinking about it, because I don't want you to lose all your important stuff. All right, Fred in Des Moines, Iowa. Welcome to the show today, Fred.
A few months ago, I was listening to the Kim Commando show, and they were talking about an app that you could put on your phone, and if and it didn't really have to be a loved one, but I was wanting to use it for my wife was battling cancer, and after she'd passed, I would like to, maybe be able to talk to her, and they were talking about that, and I've heard that there's even some that you can do video files with too, but anyhow, and she passed, and before she passed, I'd asked her if she had ever done that or put that on her phone. She said, yeah, she had, but she couldn't make it work, so she took it off. And we've got a lot of video messages or messages and stuff from her, and I thought it'd be nice to, talk to her sometime.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss after 40 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time. That's truly your other half.
Yeah, exactly.
That isn't there. The person that I was talking to was from a company called Storyfile.
Okay. Yeah.
And Storyfile is out there, and what they do primarily is with video interviews. And they'll do, 5 hours or 8 hours with somebody, and then create a video persona and also capture their tones and their voices and things like that. As example, they interviewed actor Ed Eisner for 8 weeks before he died in 2021. And then they sent Ed Eisner's story file to his son, Matt, who says it was like his dad talking right at him, answering his questions. And Matt, the son, said he played the file to father's memorial service, and some people were really deeply touched, and others said, ooh, this is kind of creepy, makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, it depends upon how you look at it, right? And where your stage is at that moment of grief.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Because 4.5-year battle of cancer, you guys talked about this, right?
Sure.
There were highs and there were really lows, right?
Yep.
There were moments of hope, and moments of despair.
Yes, certainly.
And so you may be grieving at a different spot than somebody, because I know somebody's going to be listening like, oh, how could they do that? Why would anybody want to do that? Okay. But you're maybe at a different spot, because I not that it is anywhere near the same thing that you're going through right now with Fred. But I was with my mother with her pancreatic cancer battle almost 5 years. I mean, I was there when they said she's got 3 months to live. What's on her bucket list? She's got stage 4 cancer, you know?
Yep.
And there were times where it was like, oh my gosh. And she'd look at me and she'd say, how long do you want me to live? And I'd say, forever. Forever.
Yeah,
She's like, no, that's not possible, Cam. You know, so we had those tough conversations. Okay.
Yep.
So with Storyfile, that's the company that I was talking to. It may not be possible for them to do this because they have questions that they ask and responses are saved. And there's a free trial that has 33 questions, and then there are fees along the way. There is something else that you might want to look at. It's Here After AI. Here After AI. That's where you can submit various auto recordings and photos.
Yes.
And then there's also something called YOV. And that may be something that you might want to look at too. But, you know, you might want to just reach out to Storyfile, see if they have maybe something that may be working with everything that you have of your wife. But again, that's Storyfile Life, Here After AI, and then YOV. Now, Fred, if you do any of these, would you call me back?
Sure.
You know,
sure.
Let me know how it works here, because as I've been looking at this and I've been thinking about this, I mean, I think my grief is too fresh in my heart.
Yeah.
Because I can't even look at pictures sometimes, Fred. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'll just break down. I mean, yesterday was my father's birthday. My father passed away unexpectedly, 30 years ago. And I was like, I was just sitting there like a baby. And like it just happened, So, but grief comes in, it's a wave, right?
Yeah.
You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. But if you need any information about this, as a matter of fact, I have a link that, Fred, hang on the line. Amber's going to give you that link right now to a story I wrote about this over on commando.com about AI immortality. In case you want to try it out for yourself. I mean, is it going to be 100% the person? No, it's not. It's not. May it help you deal with the pain? Yeah, it may. Maybe it's going to cause more pain. Maybe you're ready to take that and to do. Maybe you're ready to take yourself to that level. Maybe you're not. And grief is universal, but it's always so personal. And I'm always reminded when I talk about grief about that verse in the Bible that says, you walk through the shadow, the valley of death. You walk through that. Okay. You don't go to the left. You don't go to the right. You have to go through it in order to get to the other side. Again, if you want more information about this, we have links over at commando.com. And Fred, if I can help you more, I'm here for you. All right. I don't know when the last time that you actually said, where am I logged into everywhere on my Google account? All right. If you haven't done that for a while, here's a shortcut. I want you to go to google.com/devices. That's google.com/devices. Now, here you're going to see a list of all the devices, computers, smartphones, tablets that you're signed into or you have been signed into, say, for the last 28 days. Now, you can click each one to see which browser was used. Might be a tip-off that somebody else is inside your account. Now, don't panic if you see the same device multiple times because each session is recorded. So what you want to do, again, is go to google.com/devices, google.com/devices. All right, Stephen in Fairfax, Virginia, welcome.
I was just wondering, I keep seeing all these ads for these hidden camera detectors. And I'm wondering, one, are you familiar with them? Do they actually work? And is there that much of a need for one? I have a daughter who travels and stays in hotels, and my wife as well.
Yeah. It's a big concern, isn't it? I mean, especially when you start looking at any type like a Vrbo or Airbnb.
Right.
Because I will tell you that years ago, I checked into an Airbnb and there were 12 cameras. I was like, what is this going on?
No way.
Yeah. And most recently, one of the gals that works here, Maddie, she's fabulous. And she and her boyfriend checked into I think it was an Airbnb in Laurel Canyon outside of Los Angeles. And she said she just got kind of like this creepy feeling when she walked into the primary bedroom and she looked up and then there were 2 smoke detectors right above the bed. And of course, one of the smoke detectors, as you can tell we're talking about it, was a hidden camera. It's like, oh, nice, crazy stuff. So you do have to be careful. There's always the thing of, you want to shine a light and see if you find any reflections. But the problem with that is that now we can have hidden cameras in just about anything, right? I mean, we're not just talking about a book or a teddy bear. There could be a hidden camera in a remote control that's sitting on a table or in a smoke detector or even in a power outlet. I mean, it's just, so they really, because the technology has advanced so much, is that we have hidden cameras in just about anything nowadays. So the whole idea behind the hidden camera detectors is that it's going to be listening in for any type of RF signals, any type of transmissions, and any type of maybe an audio bug. And now there are tons for sale on Amazon, but the question is, which is the best one, right? Which one really works? That's where you want to look at something like there's the 4-in-1 hidden camera detectors. And so it has camera lens finders and camera detectors to spot like hidden pinhole cameras. You'd also maybe will start working with a flashlight too, or magnetic field detection. So you can find any type of GPS trackers. And this is a real problem, not just in hotel rooms, but also if a lot of women and men for that matter, they leave relationships and now they're finding that there's air tags or tile trackers or worse all around them. And so over on the website is that we have links to the hidden camera detectors that we recommend.
Great.
And one's called the SDL hidden camera detector. But I'm going to put you on hold, Stephen. And Amber, who's screening the calls today, she's going to give you a direct link to that. And for everybody else, make sure that you sign up for our free Commando newsletters. If you haven't already gotten those, head over to getkim.com. And we're going to do a whole special on how to find hidden cameras. And that's where we're going to be talking about these hidden camera detectors. So it's going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks. So if you haven't already signed up for our newsletters, make sure that you do that now over at getkim.com. Or you can just search commando.com for our current recommendations. But again, we're going to go into a lot more detail in our free newsletter. So make sure you sign up now over at getkim.com. And Stephen, thank you for your call today. Okay, George in Ann Arbor, Michigan, you're up next.
Before the holidays, I was looking for Christmas ideas, and I come upon smartwatches that supposedly will check your blood sugar levels for you. And I curious, because they were not names I recognized, I was curious as to whether any of them were any good, whether they were worth the money or not.
Well, here's the deal: is that you have smart watches, you have fitness watches. These watches do not measure the glucose directly. What they do is they are linked to what's called the CGMs, the continuous glucose monitors. And so, if you have a Samsung, a Fitbit, a Garmin, Apple, as well as there are all these other names, like you said, you don't even recognize, is that they actually will read the data from the CGMs. Now, there is an exception. It's from a Chinese company called Huawei. And I'm not quite sure how they do it, but I was reading about it recently that they do have a smartwatch that will monitor your glucose levels without being linked to these CGMs. Now, the problem with the Huawei is that you can't buy it here in the United States. It's just the way that it is. It's only available in China. It's a non-invasive blood glucose monitoring. Now, you may be familiar with Huawei because those are the phones and all the gadgets that people in the U.S. government are not allowed to even touch or look at because everything that you do gets back to China. But I would expect that this Huawei Watch 4 Pro, as this technology is there, we're going to see more of this coming into the United States directly. But, unlike places like China, they don't have the Food and Drug Administration where you have to go through a lot of hoops and whistles in order to get your product approved if it's going to be making certain claims, which rightfully so it should. But I would imagine the likes of, say, Apple and Samsung and Fitbit and Garmin, I'm sure they're working on blood glucose levels. After all, if we look at what a watch does, it has so many wonderful things. It has an optical heart rate sensor, it does temperature sensors, it does ECGs, oxygen levels, stress, skin temperature, breathing, whatever it may be. And we haven't yet kind of broken that barrier, as well as blood pressure is also one that's going to be big coming out. So, we're going to keep our watch on this, no pun intended. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to our free newsletters, because that's always where I go through a lot of new products that are coming out and new products that are just on the cusp of being here or recently announced. And so if you don't already get our free newsletters, make sure that you sign up now while you're thinking about it. Head over to getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. And George, thank you for your call today. The thing about wearable tech, it's always getting better. It seems like every single month that goes by. Okay, there's no doubt that the pace at which artificial intelligence is moving is just super quick. It's so fast that you can expect it to take over all human jobs, not in 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, but get this, an Oxford study of almost 3,000 AI experts reveals that at the pace we're going right now, it's going to be in about 20 years. Wow. Okay, those are the world's top artificial intelligence professionals and researchers and experts. Okay, so can it write a Pulitzer Prize bestseller? Yup. Translate a new language? Yup. Completely code anything? Yes. Solve medical problems? Yes. Create cures? Yes. Create weapons? Yes. Create wars? Yes. Very frightening. The CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, told Axios ChatGPT will have to evolve in uncomfortable ways. Oh my gosh. What does that mean, uncomfortable? So it is a big deal if we all make it there. Sweet dreams. Hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. And don't forget, you can find me 24/7 at komando.com. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise, home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
At Talos, we know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything, but with Talos, you can secure what matters most. With Talos industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities, anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Talos to protect what matters most: applications, data, and identities. That's Talos, T-H-A-L-E-S. Learn more at talosgroup.com/cyber.
Thank you for listening to The Kim Komando Show. Here's Hour 1.
Over the last 4 years, the increase in visits to pirate websites have gone up 12%. You know what I'm talking about? Piracy website, pirate website. This is where you can download any movie that you want, any music, whatever it may be, a book. Okay, it's all pirated. Okay, we're talking 385 million visits a day. Wow, in 2023. So why do you think this is happening? That's right. The price of streaming services. 5 years ago, Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu with live television cost you around $56 a month. Today, $106 a month. Wow. Now, you have to be smart, folks. Do not hang out at these piracy websites. They are really just hotbeds for malware, not to mention you could get fined, and it is illegal, so you could get worse. But speaking of piracy, yes, piracy is killing the music industry. Piracy is killing the music industry. I mean, have you ever tried playing guitar with a hook? Yes, that was a good one. And on that happy note, I'm Kim Commando, America's digital goddess. You just tapped into the biggest show, the best show, the most trusted show about all things digital. And you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is a tech thing. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome aboard. We're delighted to have you. And to our regulars, well, it's great to see you back. And you can find my show across 420 fantastic stations here in the United States. If you want to listen on your own time, not a problem. Just pop open your favorite podcast player and search for my last name, Commando. Or you can go ahead and join the Commando community. It's just a few bucks a month. You get a free 30-day trial by heading to commando.com. And again, hitting that button that says community. And a special shout out goes to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard and the Space Force in 175 different countries. And I know that you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And that's why our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. I need two things from each and every one of you. Number one, tell one person about the Kim Commando Show. That's all. Just tell one person. Say, hey, I love the Kim Commando Show, and you will too. Just search for Commando in your favorite podcast player. And number two, send me your questions. Tell me what you want to hear more about. Tell me your digital dilemmas that I can help you solve. Head over to commando.com and hit that button that says Email Kim. Let me tell you, it's my labor of love. I do it every single morning. I visit at least 35 different websites, not just in the morning, actually throughout the day, because you never know what happens during the day, to make sure that we're both up to date on all things digital. Here are 5 things you need to know right now. And let me ask you this question. What are the chances that someone else's fingerprint could unlock your phone? What are the chances of that? What is it? What do you think? Is it 1 in 50,000, 1 in 100,000, or 1 in a million? What do you think the chances are? Well, when it comes to Apple's Touch ID, the estimated probability is, drum roll please, 1 out of 50,000. Okay. Engineers from Columbia University, though, recently used a public database of about 60,000 fingerprints, and they fed into an AI system. Well, the AI was trained to figure out if different fingerprints came from the same person. What they found is that the fingerprints were from the same person about 75% of the time is accurate. Okay, so what does this mean to any of us? What does that mean? Okay, it means that our fingerprints are not all that unique as we thought they were. Moving on to number 2, are we dating the same guy? Yeah, this guy, Nico D'Ambrosio, isn't very happy. He's suing 30 women and Meta for $75,000 after a Chicago Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy became all about him. Now, these groups are popping up all over the country. Basically, someone grabs a screenshot of some guy's dating profile, shares it inside that local group, and basically says, hey, you know this dude. Well, Nico's dating profile was posted in that Chicago group I mentioned, has over 80,000 people. So all these women started posting red flag emojis and saying like, Nico was very clingy, very fast. Or how about this one? Kept talking about how I don't want to see his bad side. Okay. Other people said he was a psycho, that he ghosted them after they slept together. Seems to me that Nico D'Ambrosio needs to change his ways, or maybe more like his name. Number 3, your kid's school isn't cyber safe. You wouldn't want anyone to know when your kid goes to school, the classes that they're in, what happens on trips to the school nurse. But here's the deal. Big data leak, according to Raptor Technologies, and that's a school security company used by 5,300 school districts, 60,000 schools. The records were found of all these students. You ready for it? In a non-password protected database. Oh my gosh, this should be criminal. What were in the documents? Social security numbers of the students, lockdown locations, active shooter protocols. My gosh, log records on students, teachers, and parents. The list goes on. Again, that's called Raptor Technologies. Ask your school if they're using it. Number 4 is for all the geeks out there. Seagate's making tech history with the mother of all hard drives. It's called rolls off the top of your tongue, the Exynos 10 Mosaic 3 Plus. Okay. It's the largest hard drive ever, the first ever drive to hold 30 terabytes of data for consumers. Okay. 30 terabytes. What could you put on that? Over 1,000 Blu-ray movies. Okay. 6 million photos. If you have Word docs, tens of millions. The previous record holder for the biggest commercial hard drive was Western Digital Gold, which reached 24 terabytes. Now, this comes just a few years after we got the 20 terabyte hard drive, which is huge, right? But think about this. A 30 terabyte drive, right now, the Seagate drive, costs $450. In 2007, Hitachi released the world's first 1 terabyte drive. Okay, so we have a 30 terabyte drive for $450 today. 2007, a 1 terabyte drive. How much do you think that cost? You ready? How much do you think? About $400. Wow. Finally, this coming in number 5, Kelly Clarkson recently lost a ton of weight. You go, girl. You might have seen a video pop up on Facebook or Instagram that starts like this. Ladies, I honestly didn't expect my weight loss to generate so many questions, but my direct messages on Instagram are overflowing. And underneath this video is a link to a page advertising keto apple cider vinegar gummies. Hundreds of dollars. All right, it's all phony baloney. These keto gummies are also not just using Kelly Clarkson, but Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King promoting them on this video. It's just a huge scam. So if you buy these keto gummies for hundreds of dollars, just want to let you know, they're probably only 10, 15, 20 bucks on Amazon or at your local health food store. So this is not how really any of these celebs have lost the massive weight. Okay, they're on Ozempic. And if you want to get Ozempic online, do not buy the budget Ozempic. All it is a laxative. Okay, so you're going to lose water. You're not going to use fat, which just reminds me of a fun fact. Don't ever take a sleeping pill and a laxative at the same time. Never do that. Don't take a sleeping pill and a laxative at the same time, because if you do, you're just going to sleep like a baby. Oh, yeah. All right. How about we start with Joyce in Des Moines, Iowa. Hello there, Joyce.
I believe I have some microphones or cameras in my house. What would be the best device to catch this? Find some surveillance electronic devices in my house.
Well, tell me what's going on.
Well, I have a squatter here. I'm on a farm, and I did not know, but he had been picking my locks and getting into my house. And I'm sure and I know he's got cameras and microphones in my house, and I need to find out where they are.
So what makes you think that he's got cameras and microphones in your house? What's going on?
Well, he also had put spyware on my phone, too. I mean, I went to Marshalltown one time and forgot to left my home without my phone. He always seems to know where I am. And I put a security system up around my house and my garage. And I think he's still getting in my house somehow, because I had gotten an onion catalog, and I was looking at it one night. The next day, he had put a piece of an onion on top of the onion catalog.
You've called the police?
I kind of hit a brick wall with the sheriff's office. I have gotten 2 pictures of him. And I did send those to a deputy I had been visiting with, and he thinks that I'm been posing in that picture, in those 2 pictures I have of this squatter. Mm-hmm. But the one picture of the squatter is him picking my screen door lock to get into my house. Wait. And I asked about having a drone come here, and he says, my problem doesn't warrant a drone. And that's the only way to find him, because I'm on a farm with many buildings. And pasture ditches he can get to. And this was in October, and he can go in cornfields, he can go in my buildings. I don't know where he is.
And do you have a security system?
Yep, I have security cameras I installed at the cost of $14,000. So he's staying away from the house now. But he's put cameras in my house and microphones.
And so what makes you think that there are cameras and microphones in your house?
Well, he always seems to know where I am.
But how does he?
They're not inside. They're outside of the house. Then.
Okay. Well, wait. Whoa, Joyce. Okay. You say that he always knows where you are. Okay. How do you know that?
Well, when I'm walking down into my barnyard, he whistles at me. He does that to make sure I know he's still around.
Okay.
He whistles. He makes strange noises. When I have never seen him. I just have these 2 pictures that I've gotten on trail cams. He's put. I did buy some cameras on my own and stuck them in the garage. And in early October, the cameras, my phone alerted me that he was in my garage, and he had moved the cameras so they would be shooting up to the garage. So that's when I called the sheriff's office. This is 4:00 in the morning when they came, and it's pitch black. And when they came, of course, it was pitch black, so they went around with their flashlights, and they could not find him. And I got upset with them because I says, "You're not going to find him. You don't know the layout of my farm and the buildings." They said they went through all my buildings. And I says, "Did you go up in the hayloft? Did you go up in the corn crib?" And they says, "Oh, we didn't do that." And they said they walked into the cornfield a few steps and didn't see him. They looked on the grass for steps, for places he had been, and for dew, there's dew on the ground. Mm-hmm. And they didn't see any signs of him walking anywhere. So they said they was for sure they was going to find him. But at 4:00 in the morning, I said to him, "How are you going to find him at 4:00 in the morning with your flashlights? He's not going to come out of the cornfield with a white flag and say, 'Here I am, arrest me.'"
So Joyce, do you feel safe in your house?
Yes, because I have security cameras.
We can certainly, send you a link to what's called an RF detector, and that's going to scan for frequencies that are emitted by microphones and hidden cameras. And you can also, listen for any buzzing or crackling. You can look on your...
Yeah, I can't. I have ringing in my ears. I deer hunt, and so I've shot so many shotguns and rifles. I have ringing in my ears.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, there are other ways that you can do it. You can scan your network, your Wi-Fi network, to look for any unrecognized. Okay.
And he has a network. He's using a network, obviously, to have these cameras and microphones.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I don't know how far a network goes if he's in a neighbor. I mean, he can't be here all the time because we just had the last few days of weather we've had with the wind and stuff and the snow. We had a blizzard. We had 2 blizzards. We have like 20 inches of snow on the ground here. We had 50 mile an hour winds. So it was like 50 below for many days here. Mm-hmm. So he can't be here. He goes somewhere. And I don't know why he's picking on me. I don't know, because his picture does not, I don't recognize him at all. Okay. But he can't be here all the time.
Now, why do you think the local sheriffs told you that it was you in the picture?
Because they don't want to deal with my problem. I've talked to a couple attorneys about this situation, and they both said the same thing. The sheriff's office don't want to deal with it. They want to sweep the problem under the carpet. And like the deputy said, we thought for sure when we come out at 4:00 in the morning, they would have found him and arrested him.
Okay.
And all they will do is just give him a citation for simple trespass.
Well, it's unfortunate that you have a lot of this going on, and that you're having to deal with, a squatter who is on your property. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you on hold, Joyce. And we're going to send you out a link to an RF detector that you can buy on Amazon. And if it comes up that there isn't anything there, you might have to go to a higher authority than me. Maybe somebody else in the sheriff's office who may be able to help you. But why don't you hold on the line, Joyce? Amber, you can send her the link that we sent to that other gentleman with the RF detector. I think you know what I'm talking about. For one of the first callers today. And so, Joyce, take a look, try the RF detector. And if you have any other questions, I'm always here for you. Thanks for your call today, Joyce, and stay safe. Let me tell you, these questions are always so very hard to take because it could be a lot of different things if you get my drift. But before we get back to all of your phone calls, I got to tell you, let's say you meet a girl online. Oh, she's hot. She's a stunner. You even have a quick video chat with her. And you're like, oh, she's the girl of my dreams. I'm going to fall in love. All right, here's the deal. Scammers are using AI-created women to target you on dating apps. With AI image generators, let me tell you, these fakes pop up faster than you can swipe right. And they can chat, they can video call, they can even sweet talk you via text. Now, people are getting duped and it's costing more than just a few dinner dates. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you are online dating right now, I want you to be on the lookout for this. Some telltale signs? Well, the woman that you're speaking to has perfect features. But if you look a little closer at her pics, things start to look a little weird. I mean, maybe she's got an extra finger. Maybe her earrings are not in the right places. Also, do a reverse image search on her pictures too. And always remember, if it feels too quick, extraordinary, and especially if she's asking for money, I want you to swipe left right now. All right, let's see. Phil in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Hi there, Phil.
Well, it might have been even 6 months ago. I don't know. You had listed some stuff about working at home, and I'm kind of interested in getting into the transcription stuff.
Okay.
I'm a musician, and I'm a pianist and an organist, so my typing skills are really good. And I was thinking, well, it'd be really nice just to work at home. I drive an hour to and from work every day, and it's getting me down, and I'm just getting too damn old to do all that. Mm-hmm. So I figured, won't it be great to just work at home? I've got my home office set up and everything ready to go, and I can just do it. So,
well, if you want to be a transcriptionist, I mean, and you obviously are very talented, and being able to have that whole eye-hand coordination, mind coordination, which let me tell you, there are things that I'm good at, and I could never play the piano, Phil. Never, ever. I mean, and I can't sing either. I can't carry a tune. Did you hear me tell the story about when me and the Beach Boys?
No.
Oh, so I was in Santa Barbara, and I was standing there with a whole bunch of people at a party, and this guy comes over to me, and he says, you're Kim Commando, and I said, yeah, and he said, I've listened to you for years, and I always said, you just have the greatest voice, and I said, well, thank you, and he said, have you ever thought about singing? And I said, never. I said, I laugh and I make fun of my own voice because I can't sing. I mean, I'm at church, the nuns would yell at me and they'd say, stop making fun of the songs, I said, so I had like this crutch, I could never sing. And then and he says, no, you really can sing. He said, I really think you can. And I said, and then the woman comes over to me and she joins now the group. She goes, you know who that is? And I said, no. And he says, I'm Bruce Johnson from the Beach Boys. And I said, oh, nice to meet you. Like, that's really cool. And we start talking. He's still on tour and all the other stuff. And he says, now there's probably 15 people around us just listening to this conversation. Okay. And he says, why don't you sing for me? And I said, are you sure? And he's like, come on, Kim, just pick one of my songs and sing for me. And my husband, Barry's standing there, and Barry's like, no, Bruce, you don't want her to sing. You don't want her to sing. He said, Kim, sing. Just sing. And I said, well, if I sing, and if I'm any good, can I come on stage with you guys? Just once in my life. And he said, absolutely. So I said, all right, you ready? Now, everybody's staring at me, Phil. You got to picture this. 15 people are staring at me, okay? And I'm having a live audition with one of the founding members of the Beach Boys, okay? I'm trying not to blow it. So I look at him and I sing, good vibrations. Okay. And he says, you can't sing. And he said, you better stick to radio. I said, you got it. I said, so does that mean I failed? He said, yeah, you failed, but I'll buy you a drink. And I said, okay, we're even. So that was it. All right. So transcription, a couple of places. One's called Rev. And you don't have to write these down. We're going to send them to you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But basically, you take a test. Now, you're not going to get rich at this. Okay. They pay anywhere from 25 cents to maybe $2.50 a minute. Okay. Sometimes it's 60 cents. Sometimes it's 85 cents. And there's a whole bunch of these out there. So, you might want to give it a shot before you quit your day job. You get my drift? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, it might be a way to make some extra money and extra gas money, especially now, some extra money to go to that heating bill. But there are always all kinds of opportunities for work at home. But I just want to make sure that you always remember that you want to make sure that these are legit sites, not bad sites, because there's just too many scammers out there. And Phil, once again, thank you for your call today. Boy, we're getting so many requests for work from home. Wow. Just want to, again, remind you, we got tons of lists over on the website. That's commando.com. All right. It's cold all across the country. Babbitt, Minnesota, -15. Dubuque, Iowa, 3 degrees. Sioux Falls, 6 degrees. Chicago, 10 degrees. I'm freezing in Phoenix, where it's 53 degrees. Yeah. Ooh, burr. I know. 73 in the afternoon. So here are some hot tech tips. Number 1, never miss a cold snap. Smart speakers can give you real-time weather alerts. Just say the wake word and then say, hey, tell me when there's a severe weather alert. This way you know when there's a freeze warning, a snowstorm, or something like that. And then you might want to also pick up a smart humidifier that you control with your phone, because this way you can set all the timers and make all the adjustments that way. A smart plug to set a schedule on your space heater. Turn it on and off when you're not home. Definitely worth peace of mind. And then, of course, a smart thermostat is a no-brainer. You can also use a thermal leak detector or an infrared camera attachment to your smartphone to identify where heat is escaping. Okay, this way you can fix these energy wasters with insulation or draft stoppers. Really, some great tips there. We've got more over at commando.com, but that thermal leak detector with an infrared camera you attach to your smartphone, that's just smart tech right there. Isn't that amazing that we can do that right in our own homes without having to hiring a professional and paying those big bucks? Anyway, to learn more, hit the website, commando.com. All right, back to the phones we go with Andrew in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Andrew.
I am a voiceover artist, and as kind of a side gig to that, I do proofing, text proofing, edit proofing, and I'm good at it. And I see problems with Facebook advertising, with Amazon advertising, either the people that are selling products or skills. The grammar, the English, just everything is wrong. I look at it and go, there's no way I would do business with this person. What happens after the sale? I've had a little bit of luck reaching out to them directly, saying, hey, I can help you make your stuff looks better. I'm trying not to say your site looks like crap. Can I fix it? But, that's really what's under there, because it looks better. Anyway, I've had a little success reaching out directly, but I'm active on Fiverr doing this to where I get a little of my work. But do you have any suggestions on places or methods I might use to get in front of more of these people? I mean, there's thousands of them out there.
Well, and how do you think, before I answer your question, how do you think AI is going to change this career for you?
The voiceover? I thought that might be a question.
Oh, no, well, not just the voiceover.
Just period?
I'm talking about proofreading.
I don't think it's not helped yet. I haven't really thought about that specific AI front, but I really don't see it being, not for a few years, any better than it is for voiceover, and it's not going to affect voiceover at all, I don't think.
I'll tell you, no, it's, we've tried to AI my voice, because I thought, hey, this would be really great, because I do these 60-second features on, I don't know, about 400 radio stations every day. And I thought, and it's not that it takes it a while for you to record, because remember, it's like 1 minute. So I'm probably in there for maybe 3 minutes to do a 1 minute little, feature.
Right.
But I thought, what a great time saver this would be. And we could lay it all down, and I don't have to go in the studio, and nobody has to edit it or whatever it was and mix it. And so we went ahead and we AI'd my voice. So we finally get this AI voice, and I'm like, all right, let's try it. So we send it out, because I had a cornea transplant, And so I was supposed to like keep my pressure down and relax for the first week and all this other stuff. So this was back in May. And we sent it out and automatically we get like, I don't know, 30 stations. Is Kim sick? She sounds like she has a cold. Okay.
It's so easy to hear once your ear is tuned to it.
Yes.
What AI voices sound like. I can spot them on incoming phone calls, which I mess with, by the way. And some of my other work in other areas is training AI. I'm not against AI because it's not taking my job anytime soon.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot to it. Yeah, I would like to hear one of those of yours. That would be really interesting because I hear so many of them. I say, that is not right. I know that's not this person.
You know what? When we get done with our call, we'll play one. Okay?
I'd love to hear it, yeah.
Because I want to hear, we'll play like just a piece of one. And then you can tell me what your thought is. But let's talk, before we do that, let's talk about your proofreading. There are proofreading companies where you could go and work for them, like Proofread Now and Proofreading Pal. So basically that you would sign on with them as a remote proofreader. Okay. You can also find these jobs at Flex Jobs. That's kind of like, freelancer or, kind of like you're on Fiverr type of thing.
Right.
Then there's also another one called Reedsy, and that's REED, not read like READ. It's REED, like a read, SY, so Reedsy. And so with these type of companies is that basically you're going to go in there and then you're going to apply for these jobs. But it may give you a wider selection of clients than you're just finding on Fiverr or you're reaching out to, which is probably very time intensive because first you have to see it. Yeah. And then you got to find the person and then you got to drop them a note and then you have to hope that they don't blow you off. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. And
it's tough. There's not an easy way to do that, at least through Amazon that I've ever found. It's kind of hit and miss and takes, as you say, about 5 steps.
Yeah. So take a look at this. It's Proofreading Pal, Proofread Now. Okay. So Andrew.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I want you to put on your voiceover critique hat. and I'm going to tell you already, this is not a live Kim Commando. This is an AI Kim Commando. Oh, yes. Hot Chat 3000 is woke, meaning you may get paired to a male or a female. One user told the Daily Mail that he upped his hotness rating by simply putting on sunglasses. My bottom line, if you're lonely enough and insecure enough to use this thing, your self-esteem is probably not going to improve when you see who you get matched to. Is that the real Kim Commando? No. What's wrong with it?
It's better than I expected, to be honest, with a lot of the others that I hear. Your pacing is a little off. Word emphasis seemed a little different. That's really the biggest thing. The voice characteristics were good. As I said, better than I thought. The Kimness is not there in some parts of it.
Yeah, I'm the soul. It's like it's just reading the words without really thinking about what the words really mean, and in that delivery, it's just not ready for prime time. Just not ready.
It's a little impersonal. Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's one. If you hear a bunch of these bad ones, they're so easy to spot. So easy.
Well, Andrew, thanks for playing along in our Is It AI game or not. And hey,
what do I win? Do I get a Christmas present? I didn't see anything from you in December. Come on.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll send you.
Right.
I'll send you. Do you want a Kim Commando Show hat or fanny pack?
Oh, a fanny pack.
Oh,
I'm not a hat person.
All right.
I wear a 5XL motorcycle helmet because they don't make a 6.
So okay.
Hats don't work well for me.
All right. Well, we're going to make sure that hang on the line so that we're going to send you that official Kim Commando Show fanny pack, or now cross body bag or hip pack. I know fanny pack is so out of date. Andrew, again, thanks for being here. I know. It seems like everybody's looking for a new gig online. Wow. Hey, listen, we have some openings at Commando.com in Phoenix, Arizona. Hit Commando.com/careers. If you want to work with us, we're looking for some really great team players, writers, editors, and some video editors, and a whole bunch of other folks too. That's Commando.com/careers. So Nikon's new AI camera is going to predict when a cow is about ready to give birth. That's right. For $6,000 a year, farmers get alerts to their smartphones that say when that little moo cow is on the way. And then AI is able to tell when the cow mothers are getting a bit jumpy and ready to give birth. Now, one of the farmers using it say he delivers about 60 calves a year and would have to check on the expected cows every few hours a month when they were due. Wow. Okay. Now, Nikon says this isn't the only AI camera. They're also going to track when the cows are in the mood for love. Oh, I heard that groan. Hey, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, you can find me 24/7 at getkim.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for listening to The Kim Komando Show. Here's hour 3.
Hey, I thought this was super interesting. If you use Apple Find My to track your phone, your iPods, your AirPad, whatever it may be, did you know that you have a cap on how many items that you can actually use it on? Okay, how many do you think? Drum roll, please. Answer is 32. That's right. Only 32 items can be linked up to your Apple Find My. It used to be 16, but here's the deal. Somebody must have gone past 16. That's a lot of devices to be tracking. And I just read that not only is our phones and our computers tracking us, and of course our Roombas have been gathering dirt on us for years. Now smart refrigerators, that's right. They're ratting you out too. Weight Watchers, that's bound to happen. Hey, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And I am, of course, Kim Komando, America's digital goddess, here with you. It's the most trusted show. It's the biggest show. It's the best show about all things digital. And if it's your first time tuning in, welcome to you. And if you're a regular listener, you look smashing, darling. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations across the United States. And you can also get us as a podcast. Just search for Komando in your favorite podcast player. And that's with a K, of course. And you can also find us commercial-free as a podcast and as a webcast over at Komando.com as part of the Komando community membership. And a big hello goes out to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force, and 175 different countries who are joining us on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And I need 2 things from each and every one of you. Number 1 is that you tell one person, just one person about the Kim Komando Show. That's all. Tell them to search for Komando in their favorite podcast player. And number 2 is that you tell me what you want to know about. You tell me your digital dilemmas, your problems, whatever it may be, things that you may be wondering about. Head over to Komando.com and hit that button that says Email Kim. All righty, you can count on me to go to at least 35 different websites every single day to bring you just the top 5 things you need to know about tech. Now, have you ever thought about if your car got stolen, where would that car end up? Where would that car end up? Okay, that's why I want to tell you this story. We have to go to Toronto. That's where Andrew had his SUV stolen from his driveway in August. Yeah, total bummer. But there's a twist. Andrew had an AirTag hidden inside the car. So while the car was long gone from his driveway, he was still able to track it. So he tracked it going to a nearby rail yard. Then it went to the port of Montreal. Then it ended up at a used car lot in the United Arab Emirates. Okay. That's super far. So he did call the police to try to track the car down and get the truck back. He contacted Interpol, no luck. So yeah, put an AirTag inside your car. So where's the best place to put it? Don't put it in the glove box or in the center console. What you want to do is put it in the engine bay with some pieces of duct tape. Nobody will ever look there. Moving on to number 2, let's talk about LinkedIn. Okay, I always think it's funny. I go to LinkedIn and they say, "Oh, Kim Komando, we have some new job opportunities for you." Like I could be a weekend anchor on an iHeart radio station in Blythe. It said I could also be a tour guide at the Butterfly Museum. And I love this one. I always get this. A host at, say, the Cheesecake Factory or Applebee's. I don't think so. But LinkedIn has this new AI feature called Job Collections that will help you look for a job that's really tailored to you. Basically, if you're looking for a very specific role, you ought to check this out. The AI is going to look through job postings and categorize them into groups like media, IT, remote jobs, whatever it is. Just hit Explore with Job Collections under Jobs. Take a look at your preferences. And if you spot a cool company, you can now send an I'm interested alert right from the job post. Moving on to number 3, Microsoft wants your driving time to belong to the boss. What? Yes. Microsoft Teams is now coming to your car if you have Android Auto. So if you have Teams at your office, you can now rest assured that your boss will be pinging you from your car. And then you can have like an impromptu one-on-one, or you can have a whole group meeting. Yes, while you're driving, now your commute can be part of your workday. Moving on to number 4, a business loses $4 million to a romance scam. What's up with that? We're going to go to Minneapolis for this story, where Sharon Schwarzeride, 61 years old, was duped. She was having some marital troubles at home, so she headed to the internet and she started talking to someone by the name of Eric Lockwood. As the relationship grew stronger and stronger, here's what happens. Eric started asking for, money. It's a classic romance scam. He said he needed $7 million for a wonderful deal. Yes, a great deal in Dubai. And then he said, all we have to do is get this deal done. And then, honey, I'm coming to the United States because I love you. And we're going to get married. And we're going to have a future together. And Sharon's like, yes, sign me up. So not only did Sharon give him her money, but she managed to send $4 million of her employer's money to the scammer. Yeah. So if you're wondering why romance scams are so out there, think of the money. Wow. $4 million. Okay. Just from her employer. So the business owner started noticing like what's going on with these transfers of cash that businesses that we didn't have any business doing with. So now Sharon's facing theft, financial exploitation charges, probably getting divorced. So here's the public service announcement for anybody who owns a business. Make sure only you can transfer money. That's it. Make sure you talk to your bank and say, how can we be 100% sure that I am the only one who can authorize a money transfer? And finally, this coming at number 5, everyone's coming back to the office and now they need to go to charm school. What's up with that? Yes. Employers and coworkers are complaining. That's right. Of coworkers dirtying up the kitchen, not picking up after themselves, small talk going down the drain, people eating their lunches, spilling their coffee, whatever it may be. So yes, charm school, as I mentioned. A recent survey by Resume Builder says over 1,500 business leaders found that by 2024, 60% of companies are now putting employees in office etiquette classes. Skills learned, professional manners, small talk, dress code, networking skills, how to pick up after yourself. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Oh, no, thank you. All right, cameras are watching us wherever we go, right? We have our neighbors' doorbell cams, CCTVs, maybe even just your friend's cell phone. But what you may not realize is that even the camera footage from these are private. Well, it can still be sent to the police. Now, thousands of police departments are hopping on board with what's called Fusus. It's an AI-powered system. It links up local cameras that will give the police a fast track, they say, to this crime footage. And it works like this. You have a camera at your place or your business. You give permission to your local police to use it. They can tap into it when a crime is reported in your area. Now, we've talked about this before on the show with Joseph Cox. He's one of the co-founders of 404 Media, which, let me tell you, if you have not dropped by 404 Media's site, you really need to do this because they have so many great articles and blogs and investigative pieces. It really is a great resource. Joseph has dug more into this, and they released a map showing all these locations where Fusus is up and running. So I guess, Joseph, before we get into the map, so everybody's on the same page, tell us more about these cameras.
Yeah, so Fusus basically turns dumb cameras into smart ones. You can have a completely ordinary camera, maybe outside your residence or the 7-Eleven or a business or whatever. It's a normal CCTV camera, like so what? Fusus will add a piece of hardware, and not only will that add AI capabilities to it, such as object recognition, person recognition, and tracking vehicles, it can also, if turned on, provide direct live access to a central repository for the police. It, fundamentally changes what it means for a camera to exist in a town. It's one thing for one to be set up and then police can go back in time in case there's a crime or something like that. Here, it's live direct access at scale all at once if it's enabled.
Now, let's talk about the permissions. If I do have a Ring camera, I have to give permission, right?
Yes, exactly. You do have to give permission. And then Fusus is similar in that if you own a camera, just a normal camera, you can tell the police, hey, I have a camera outside my business. You're welcome to come ask me for the footage in the future if a crime does happen. Or you can go a step further and attach this hardware. So it is done with permission. It is done with consent. But of course, you have to remember, that's the permission of the camera owner. It's not of the permission of everybody walking past the camera, right? That would almost be impossible to achieve, but that's a fundamental problem with what we're talking about.
Yeah, because, of course, we do want the footage. I mean, I was just thinking, like, when you were talking about it, we had some, I don't know who they were, they came and they sprayed graffiti at the front of our building and on our sign. And then the police came and said, can we look at your footage? Because maybe we can figure out who this is. Of course, we turned over the footage, but we turned over the footage of anybody else who was actually walking down the street as well. But we tried to narrow it down. Now, we don't have that Fusus, so it's not like, oh, well, that was Bob, and he walks his dog every day at 3 p.m. And so that's where the privacy issue comes into play, I think, is that, of course, we want to have safe cities and safe neighborhoods, and we want to be able to catch an assailant or a vandal or whoever it may be when that crime happens. But there are the other implications that maybe you didn't opt into that.
Yeah, I mean, something really changes when you give law enforcement constant, unfettered access to any camera feed. And look, I'm sure it will solve more crimes, at least some of them, right? Because police can simply look at the footage and respond as quickly as they wish to. But there still needs to be a discussion about whether residents want that, whether businesses want that, or, just the town writ large, or whether it's being installed. It's a conversation that should ideally be happening rather than this system just props up overnight all over the country.
So this map that you put together, was it hard?
Not really. The researcher did a lot of work for me. There was a researcher / hacktivist, the combination of the word hacker and activist. Without getting too technical, they found a way to scrape the number of cameras that Fusus has around the country. They did that because it was public facing. They didn't have to break into anything. Sure. It's almost just data sat out there on the internet waiting for somebody to put into aggregate. They give it to me, and then I visualize it into a map, and then we release the data set as well, in the hope that, ordinary people can just go to the 404media.co website and check, oh, is my police department using this? Is another public agency using this? And also, is there one the next town over, the next state over, that sort of thing? Because Fusus does publish some information about where its cameras are. It's more on an individual town basis, though. This is the first time that we're getting to see Fusus in aggregate, in scale, across the country. And I mean, it's in a lot of places, hundreds of police departments with around 200,000 integrated cameras at minimum. There's probably gaps in this data. It's probably not fully comprehensive, but it's the most detailed picture we have yet of Fusus around the country.
So, Joseph, how much do these cameras cost? Because you said it's like an adapter that you put on a current camera.
Yeah, it varies quite a lot between like a couple of $100 up to, something like $7,000. It really depends on the number of cameras that the individual sort of town wants to source, and then also whether you want the AI capabilities on top. Not all cameras are going to have the AI capabilities, but that is a main driving force and the main offer from Fusus. So plenty of clients are going to be using that as well. But yes, the cost is put on the people who own the camera sometimes, but similar to Ring, where we saw police forces and Ring sort of working together, at least on a PR perspective, I'm sure there are relationships with Fusus and the police where they say, we will help you out with installing that hardware just to maybe get the ground going and that sort of thing. But that's probably going to vary town to town.
So how does Fusus make its money? They have to be doing more than just making money off of cameras, right?
I really think it's scale now because they sell both the adapters that go onto the camera, but then it's also the system that brings it all together for the police. So let's just say Atlanta, for example, because it was one of the biggest ones, has all of these cameras everywhere. Not only is Fusus making money from turning those dumb cameras into smart ones, they're also making money selling sort of the central repository technology to Atlanta police as well that brings it all together. So they're almost at both ends of the transaction, which is fantastic for them. As for how they're making money, I really think it is just this idea that they're going to go from town to town, to force, PD to PD, and they're just going to try and take over the entire country. There's an open market for this thing, basically, and Fusus is really tapping into it.
So once again, everybody, in case you want to check the map, it's over at 404media.co. And once again, that's 404media.co. Joseph, thanks for giving us an update. Appreciate you being here. All right, let's talk about how you can see your competitor's website traffic, because it's really important. I mean, you can always just kind of guess and you can look at it and say, well, it looks like it's really busy. They got a lot of ads. But you want to use a search engine optimization tool called SimilarWeb. Okay. The dashboard comes with a ton of web traffic tools, but it's really simple to use. Okay. You just enter your competitor's website address, and then it breaks down your competitor's incoming web traffic by source. So you can get a taste of who's visiting the site and where they're coming from. And then it also does keyword analysis. So with SimilarWeb, you can discover the magical words that are drawing folks to that website. So the big question is at SimilarWeb, is all the data accurate? Not 100%, but it gives you somewhat of an idea. Once again, you can plug in that URL at similarweb.com. That's similarweb.com. And joining us here on the Kim Komando Show is our very own amazing content queen, Ali Seligman. Hello there, Ali.
Hi, Kim.
So I know we're going to talk about small businesses, and that's always a focus for us. And I started thinking about all the things that a small business owner needs to do.
Oh, Kim, we don't have time for this.
Okay,
that list.
Yeah, let's just go through some of it. Okay, financial management. Okay, I put this. These are things that I do. Okay, budget, accounting, taxes, overseeing payroll, marketing and advertising, social media management, customer service. Sales and revenue generation, okay, setting pricing strategies, looking for new opportunities for revenue, inventory management. For us, it's advertising. Okay? Human resources, hiring, training, managing. Okay. Compliance. Okay. Legal issues. You know how fun that is.
Yuck.
You've been in a couple of those with me.
I have, and every time you say I just got off the phone with a lawyer.
And you're like, oh. And you're like, and you always say, you're just so cute when you say, you're like me. Why do people have to be that way? I'm like, I don't know. Okay.
They're the worst.
Technology management. Okay. Networking, building relationships, product development, time management, delegation, crisis management.
Oof.
Okay. In the middle of all this, personal development.
Oh, come on.
Okay. So
that's a lot.
So if you're doing all this.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have big tech working behind the scenes. You may not know that while you're doing all this, that you may be getting undermined by something that's going on over here.
Lots of other stuff happening, right?
So let's start with Google.
Okay. So with Google, email, the big one, right? If you send a lot of email, I hope that you know about this. And if you don't, I'm here to tell you. Okay. The rules are if you send to over 5,000 people a day, that makes you one of these super senders, right? You're sending to lots and lots of people, and you better not be sending spam, because from now on, if you get a 0.3% spam rate or higher, not 3%, 0.3, you're not going to get your emails delivered to people with a Gmail email address anymore.
Oh, and that's so you don't when you say spam, I bet you right now, Allie, people are thinking like, "Well, Allie, Sally, Min and Kim Commando, I don't send out spam. I mean, I'm not."
Friend.
Yes. Okay.
No.
Yes.
If someone gets something, so the way we interact with our inboxes now is kind of wild because sure, there's that unsubscribe button for the newsletter that you subscribed to 3 years ago. You don't want to read it anymore. Fine. You can click unsubscribe. A lot of people, instead of going to find that link, they hit that little spam button because it's right there at the top. And so, yeah, you're not sending spam, but some people, lots of people will perceive it as spam or just use it because it's the easy option. So what do you do about this? One, make sure that the people you're emailing actually want to receive your email. You can do things like re-engagement campaigns. You can send an email that says, hey, do you still want to hear from me? If they don't, get them off your list. It's not worth having them there because it's going to tank that number for you. And eventually you're not going to be able to deliver to people at all.
But it also works in the sales cycle too.
Oh, it sure does.
Okay, 'cause so if you're sitting there like, oh, I got all these Gmail addresses and these are my prospects.
Yep.
And I've never contacted them before. So I'm going to send them a note to tell them about how great my product or service or podcast or what you're a spammer.
You are indeed. That makes you a spammer. If you work in a company where multiple people are sending emails, if you've got a sales staff, get them on a different domain. You do not want them sending and kind of corrupting that whole IP address and where that email address is coming from, right? You need that to be separate. So if you are thinking, oh my gosh, I have no idea where to start for this, you need an email professional. No, I can't direct you to a person, but there are lots of people that make it their business to make sure that your emails can get through. And I would say that's, probably a few $1,000s well spent.
And that's exactly what we're doing, is that we are setting up a separate domain just for the sales folks. So as they're prospecting, that it doesn't taint and spoil what we do.
We love what you do.
Yes,
thank you.
We do.
But...
Yes, we love that you sell, but we are sending like 500,000 emails a day with our newsletters. And so we don't want anything bad to ever happen to that.
No.
Okay, so what do you have next?
Apple. If you run a podcast, okay, you might have noticed when you look in at those beautiful numbers of how many people listen, are those numbers going down? Mm-hmm. Because for us, we noticed they are. And, for a while it was like, all right, our podcast numbers are a little bit down.
I know. And I tell you that I look at it and I'm like, what the heck?
What happened? Okay. This is a great podcast.
Yes. And I mean, and they were like trucking up. And then suddenly they go down. And that's when, you and I and everybody here on the team are like, okay, well, maybe we're not promoting them properly. Maybe you're not talking them up enough on the show. Maybe we need some banner.
Yeah. Kim Commando, this is your fault. No, it was not Kim Commando's fault or my fault or anybody's fault. Turns out when Apple updated to iOS 17, they completely changed the way that they track how many people listen to a podcast. So say I hadn't listened to my old favorite podcast in months, and then I go back and I listen to an episode, it automatically downloads and shows that I listened to all of the past episodes that I missed. That is, I guess, overinflating the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And so what they did is went to actual downloads of podcasts. So they switched that. So many big podcasts especially are seeing these huge drops in their numbers. So if you have a podcast, it's not you. That's what I'm glad to tell you. It's not just you. It's the reporting. So I guess a good lesson that sometimes the reporting, even from a company like Apple, is not perfect.
Yeah.
It never is. But at least we were all kind of comparing apples to apples, right? Because we all had the same numbers. They just all happened to be wrong. So,
and I also read that the CPM, the cost per thousand on podcasts, are going down too.
Indeed. Yes. If you had, your podcast with your crazy numbers and you made a ton of money on it, it might be a little harder this year. My advice to you would probably be to diversify. Maybe you get yourself a nice newsletter going. Maybe you've got something on your website. But yeah, it's never a great thing to just have that one revenue stream, because if there's a big change like this, you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel it big.
Exactly. That's why I always like to say that, like when I tell people we have like a wheel, and each spoke is a different revenue stream. So if something bad happens, we're not out of luck.
No, yeah. And that's really smart. This wouldn't be our 2024 tech and business talk if we didn't talk about AI a little bit, right?
Correct.
There was a survey, the Paychex Pulse of HR survey. So they go out, they talk to all the top HR people from all the big companies and medium and small companies to figure out what the heck is going to happen with employees this year. 75% of companies with 20 or more employees say that they are going to be working with their managers to figure out how to use AI so that they can work better. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it probably means that those kind of time wasters in your day, the things that you do that a computer could do, you're not going to do those anymore. And so you have to fill your time. Now, as a business owner, awesome, right? Remember all those jobs Kim just listed?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this is like, okay, beautiful. I'm not going to have to manually pull those numbers. I'm not going to have to keep track of my inventory. If you're an employee at a small business, that might mean the same thing for you. Yeah. Cool, less of that busy work. But it might also mean that your job gets automated. My best advice here, everyone needs to learn how to use AI in their job. I assure you, no matter what you do, there is a use where it could make things easier and better for you. Figure out how to do that and be the one who starts it, and don't wait for HR to come to you and say, hey, we don't need you.
Yeah, your position has been eliminated.
Yes. And you don't want that to be eliminated by AI. So what can you do better at work? How can you use your time more wisely? I think of AI as my helper for all the stuff that I don't really need my brain for. That stuff that it just takes time and energy, but yeah, let the computer do it. You don't have to.
I will tell you though, ChatGPT has been very lame lately.
Oh, it has. Well, they said nothing changed.
Yeah, they're lying. They're lying. They got hit with that $100 billion lawsuit from the New York Times.
Yeah.
And they just clamped it down. And it just doesn't have the breadth. And so what I do now is I've got ChatGPT and I ask it a question or to give it a task. And then I got perplexity.ai in the next tab. And I do it both. And I look, let's see who's better, what this one missed. And so that's a little tip too.
Yeah. And Perplexity, not sponsored by Perplexity. Perplexity, if you want to sponsor the show, please contact us. We would love that. But it's a really cool free tool. If you do something that involves a lot of research, learning, if you need to, maybe you have to write reports for work about certain things, it's a really cool tool for that. And it's free. You don't have to pay for it.
Well, great job as always, Allie. I'm sure everybody's sitting there going like, this is so much to think about.
Indeed.
And just a quick reminder that, of course, we write about all this stuff in our free newsletters. So if you're not already getting our newsletters, head over to getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. All right, let's see. Kendra in Moscow, Idaho. Hello there, Kendra.
So I'm a second-time caller. I called you once before, and you helped me out so much.
Oh, yay. Love that. She's back for more. Yes.
So here's my project. I am trying to connect my nieces and nephews with our great-great-grandma, and I have scanned all of her old recipes into files, but I'm looking for something that could be kind of like a work in progress where I download her recipes, and then there could be like ways for the nieces and nephews to upload like ratings and then put a picture of them making the actual recipe and how their family enjoyed it, and just write something on it, something that could evolve into like a book eventually.
Okay, so like tell me one of the greatest recipes from your great-great-grandmother.
Oh, she has like a ton. She used to clip all these newspaper articles, so there's some fun things in there. But one of the things that our family uses, it's called Mint Dazzler, and it's really good.
A Mint Dazzler? What is it?
Yeah. So it has a graham cracker base and then chocolate, kind of like a chocolate pie, silk pie. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that is whipped cream and marshmallows with peppermint on top. Oh. And it's frozen. It's frozen.
That sounds so good. It does.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. A Mint Dazzler. Mm. Okay. I'm hungry. You didn't have to do this to Kendra.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. What a great idea. Seriously. What a fabulous idea to bridge the generations, right? And to keep the memory alive of your great-grandmother and then introduce these recipes to a whole new generation and more who's going to be able to appreciate them, enjoy them, and then share stories over food because let's just face it. I mean, so many of our memories are of our families all around food, right? I mean, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, Easter, whatever it may be. I'm going to tell you about a couple of apps. Up to you to decide which one that you're really going to dig the most. Okay. One's called Cookmate, and you can actually import recipes from photos. So if you take pictures of some of these recipes, you can do that. Available on iOS and Android, all of these are. And then with the Cookmate, it also has a website. Plan to Eat is another app that allows you to import recipes and also share it. And then finally, there's Cookbook Manager. And then this way, it's like recipe management. They all pretty much do the same. But by using any of these apps, you can import the scans. You can allow nieces and nephews and family members to add photos when they try the recipes. And I just think that this is just fabulous. And I want to do this too, Kendra. Although my recipe from my grandmother is not as eloquent. She used to make dandelion wine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I'm pretty certain it's not 14% alcohol. So it's like,
that's crazy.
So if you need these names again, I'm going to put you on hold, and then Amber can just give you the details on all of that. And thanks for your call. And wow, what a fabulous idea, Kendra. Let me know how it works out for you. I might want to do this myself one day. Seriously. Such a fun project. Seriously. Let's see. We have time to squeeze one more person in. JB in Columbia, South Carolina. Glad to have you with us.
I've been using Quicken for about 30 years, but for home and business, but now it's just home. And I'm looking for an alternative just for checking money market and reconciliation of the checking account.
And Quicken is asking you to pay up. Is that it?
Every year, $59.95. Yes. And then they slow the service down and put ads up there. Yes.
And you're like, okay, all right, I'm tired of this, right? I know, I hear you. I've been getting these calls a lot lately. Just to let you know, I don't think you're alone. There's a free financial accounting software program. It's been around for a long time. It's called GNU Cash, GNU Cash, GNU Cash, GNU-CASH. Full featured, will actually import your Quicken files, does double entry accounting, you can do your stock accounts, your mutual funds, your checkbook, transactions, all kinds of stuff like that. And like I said, it's absolutely free. What I like about GNU Cash is that there are just tons of tutorials that go along with it, because if you just go on YouTube, like, how do I set it up? You're just going to find all kinds of things. There are some other pay programs like MoneyDance and Countabout and YNAB. YNAB. Come on, JB. What do you think that stands for? YNAB.
I have no clue, but I
you need a budget. You need a budget. That's what
knowledge. Okay, yeah, we've got that. Okay,
yeah. So I think just real quick, down and dirty, just get GNU Cash. I think it's going to be exactly what you're looking for. And then you can save all that money on Quicken and, not all that money, but then you can take your lovely bride out for dinner or something like that. Again, GNU Cash, you can find it. Just Google search it. I think it's at a .org site. And JB, thanks for your call. Hey, this goes for you also if you've been using Mint, because Mint went hasta la vista. So you might want to start using GNU Cash as well. All right, if you have a smart toaster, smart coffee machine, a smart refrigerator, smart appliance, I want you to listen up, because if it's connected to the internet, it is sending your data. An LG washing machine owner found that his washer was sending 3.7 gigs of data a day. Wow, that's a lot of traffic, even when he wasn't using it. So why is this happening? Well, the new washing machines work is that they have Wi-Fi. So this way you can download a cycle not included by default on the settings dial. Yeah, you now have to download special wash cycles. And was it crypto mining? Was it hacked? Was it uploading any lost socks? It turns out that his router was misreporting the data usage. It's kind of a letdown. But still, his washing machine was showing that it was 3.7 gigs. So if you do have any smart devices from time to time, take a look at your logs within your router so you can see what the heck's going on, right? But this was kind of a letdown to me, because I thought maybe the washing machine was laundering money Oh, that's a bad one. I know. Hey, listen, just a quick reminder, enter to win that $1,000 computer right now at commando.com/win. That's commando.com/win. It's your choice, PC or Mac, but I'm going to give you $1,000 towards it. That's over at commando.com/win. And don't forget, 24/7, you can always find me over at the website. Again, it starts with a K. That's commando.com.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
Thanks for listening to The Kim Commando Show. Here's Hour 4.
I always like to kick things off with something super fun and interesting. Maybe you've heard about how an iPhone survived, wow, a 16,000-foot drop from the Alaska Airlines flight. Here's what happened. The door plug flew off the plane. Well, the crazy part, the iPhone landed on a road, still half charged, and would you believe in airplane mode, without a single crack. It did have a case on it, and this past week we found out what case it was. Are you ready? It's the SpyGen Cyro Armor case. It's about $24 on Amazon. Talk about having good publicity. Yeah. Hey, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. I'm, of course, Kim Commando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you. Now, if you're a brand new listener to the show, welcome. So glad to have you with us. And if you're already a listener, welcome back. You can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations throughout the United States. And you can find us as a podcast or as a webcast, commercial-free, over inside the Commando community. Just hit the website, commando.com, and then hit that Commando community button. And yes, I did say commercial-free. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you're just too dang shy to come on a big-time show and podcast, I get that. You can always drop me your questions over on the website. Of course, as I said, that's commando.com. And I need 2 things from each and every one of you. Number 1, the easiest and the best way and the fastest way for me to grow the show is for you to tell just one person about the Kim Commando Show. And number 2, as I said, we always want feedback, and you can always drop me your comments and what you want to know more about, what you want to hear less of, unless, of course, you say my corny jokes. That's never going to happen over at commando.com. All right, every single day I go to at least 35 different websites to make sure that we're both up to date on all things digital. And here are the top 5 things you need to know that are happening right now. And we're going to start with a scenario. Does it ever stop? I'm talking about Tesla. Yeah. And also most other electric vehicles. Here's what's going on. That scenario. America is in the grip of this massive cold wave. And don't let the climate activists frighten you. This is normal. After all, it's winter, right? Well, here's what's going on. Tesla charging stations look like car graveyards. Dead Teslas are just scattered everywhere. Why? Teslas simply don't want to really start in bitter cold. They're not going to charge. If you went to bed last night with any charge in the battery, this morning the charge was either gone or maybe it was almost gone. Tesla tells all its owners to keep the charge level above 20% during cold weather. But it's the cold that actually drains the battery, whether you're driving it or not. Now, if you live in Miami, you can ignore this story. But if you live where it's cold, say Chicago, remember this before you buy an EV. All right, moving on to number 2, GM, Ford, and Volkswagen, they have vastly scaled back their production of EVs. But if you still don't want a gas or a diesel car, what's left? Well, behind all the hoopla and buyer's remorse over EVs, dealers and customers, they have found an incredible niche. Hybrid cars. Yes, hybrid sales are actually rising at a really good rate. You see, hybrids never need charging. Your gas engine does that for you while you're driving and provides you with 60 to 70 miles per gallon, sometimes even more. So we don't really trust pure EV technology in the United States. So before you write off alternative fuel vehicles altogether, you should maybe try a hybrid. Mercedes, Toyota, Kia, and others, they say that they're the future, and, I tend to agree. Moving on to number 3, cyber kidnapping. It's frightening thousands and it's stealing millions. Here's how it works. Imagine your phone rings. It's a familiar number. Perhaps it's your son or your spouse. When you answer, a menacing voice informs you that they have kidnapped your loved one. If you want them back, you're going to have to send some money. It gets worse. You hear your loved one plead with you to send money. You receive a photo of them in chains. You watch a video of them crying. So, of course, you're going to wire a large sum of money to the kidnappers, and then you're just going to wait. Hours go by. The money's gone. That's when you later discover that no one was ever in danger. That voice was AI generated. That photo and that video both deepfaked. So what are you going to do? Call your loved one first or find someone who can actually go check on them, because kidnappers will rarely use a victim's phone because why? It's just too easy to trace. Moving on to number 4, the rights of porch pirates. Huh? What did she just say? Yeah, unbelievable story. Like the United States and Canada, tens of millions of folks are victims of porch pirates this past holiday season. But the government is now warning its citizens to never post Ring and other doorbell videos of the thieves stealing your orders. Wait until you hear why. Police in the Canadian province of Quebec warned its citizens against posting the surveillance videos of their packages being stolen because they say that the video could violate the privacy rights of the thieves. See, the police there are worried about the thieves' privacy as they steal packages right off the porch. Now, of course, this is in Canada. It's not the United States. But let me tell you something. Not going to be long before some crackpot in, I don't know, San Francisco, Chicago, or some other high crime-ridden city in America climbs up on this pro-crime bandwagon too. You just know it's going to happen. And finally, this coming in at number 5. So many people think that no one would ever be able to create a website that would rival Google. Never. Well, what about ChatGPT? It's there, but it's loaded with problems. So that's why I want to tell you about this really small company, about 40 employees operating out of a, say, shared workspace in San Francisco. It's kind of like the early days of, say, Google and Apple and Amazon. And I'm betting this might be Google's rival that actually began 2 years ago in a really low profile. And it's an AI search site that you might want to check out. It's called Perplexity. Only has about 10 million users a month. But as of just a couple of weeks ago, it also has the backing of Jeff Bezos, who's saying, I'm going to bet big money on this Google challenger. So he and his buddies just invested $74 million right into this company. And I have to tell you something. I tested questions that ChatGPT got wrong with Perplexity.ai, and Perplexity AI that got them right. So if you're sitting there saying, I don't really know what's going on with ChatGPT, maybe you might want to try Perplexity.ai. And it's free. Now, they do have a pay version. Don't pay for it. You don't have to. Just try the free version. And speaking of AI, here's one that you can tell all your family members and friends. What is the opposite of artificial intelligence? What is the opposite of artificial intelligence? Anyone? You ready? Natural stupidity. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Joining us today is Allie Ellen from Vancouver Island. She knows this all firsthand. I mean, she tried to buy a jacket off of Facebook Marketplace, and then this is so frightening. Some guy tried to lure her into his basement. Oh, Allie, how did all this start?
I keep thinking that I'm like a savvy person, that I wouldn't ever fall into a situation like this, but I'm also very trusting. I've been buying stuff on Facebook Marketplace since the beginning of time. And in my local community, it's very common to go to someone's house. It didn't even occur to me to not do that. Now reading all the comments on my TikTok, probably not the best idea. So yeah, I was looking for a winter coat for my daughter, and I saw the ad and made arrangements to meet up. Again, didn't think anything of it. My mom was in the car, and basically from the minute I got there were so many red flags, and I should have left before.
Well, tell us some of the red flags. Tell us. I mean, it sounds like your gut was telling you one thing as well, right?
So the first thing, as soon as he opened the door, I was like, hi. And now we had been texting. I'd been messaging him on the Facebook Messenger app that I'd be there in a few minutes. He was explaining how to get to his house. So he absolutely knew I was going to be there. There was no question of it. And the first thing, as soon as I knocked on the door, he looked at me and he looked right past me and he said, "Look at the sky, look at the clouds. Did you see those clouds? Look at them." And he kept looking at me and pointing, saying, "Look at the clouds." And I thought, this is weird. This is just a weird older gentleman. I didn't really think anything of it. And I did not turn around. I just went, yeah, okay.
Where's the jacket?
Then,
okay.
Well, then he's like, hi. And I said, hi. And he said, "May I help you?" And then I was like, oh my God, is this not the right address? No, this was the guy in the picture. Like, I know. And so I said, yeah, I'm here for the jacket. And he said, "What jacket?" And again, I'm like, so I say the brand of the jacket. And he goes, "Oh, okay. Now what I'm going to get you to do is I need you to go around to the side of the house, go down the stairs, but watch your head." And I said, "What?" And he said, I just need, and then my first thought was like, oh, maybe someone lives in the basement suite and they're the ones selling the jacket. Maybe it's not. But then I kept going, no, it was this guy's picture in the ad. So he said, "I need you to go around to the side of the house, go down the stairs. It's a little dark to the basement suite and watch your head." And he kind of smirked when he did that. And as I was turning, I was like, "What are you doing? What, are you actually going to go to this man's basement?" And then I turned and I was like, can you not just go get it?" And his face fell and he went, "Oh, so you can't go downstairs?" Again, I'm Canadian. We're very polite. And I was like, well, maybe I should go down. I mean, and then I was like, no. He went, "Oh, okay." And he went inside to get the jacket. And as he did, I was texting my mom and he literally walked like 4 steps in and it was right there.
Oh.
So it was not in the basement suite. It was right in his house. Now, I had said to him previously that I may have a friend come pick it up, which would have been my partner. So I'm guessing that if a man would have come to the door, he would have just handed the jacket. It wouldn't have been a question of "Come to my basement suite." So as the jacket was in his hand and my hand, and he was handing it to me, he said, "Are you sure there may be something else you're interested in down there?"
Oh.
Not saying, "Oh, I actually have a bunch of winter clothes. If you're interested, I have some other things," like a sane person would say. No, he was looking in my eyes and said, "Maybe there's something else you're interested in." And then as soon as I saw that the jacket was upstairs, it wasn't in the basement suite, then my heart started pounding and my legs went to jello. I started shaking. Mm-hmm.
And then he handed you the jacket.
Yep.
And you hightailed out of there.
And I started kind of like jogging away because it was terrifying. And I got in the car and my mom was there and I told her what happened. And she was like, "What the hell?" And I was like, that was weird, right? I was not trusting my own instincts. And I kept replaying it through my head. And at first I was mad at myself, but I didn't want to upset him because again,
you're a nice person.
With a lot of,
yes. You didn't want to hurt his feelings or I
didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Yes.
And then as I was driving, I was getting angrier and angrier. Like, how dare you trying to make a woman on her own go down to your basement suite, you creepy man. Yeah.
100% creepy. Did you call the police?
So I actually initially spoke with a friend who works. She's not a police officer, but she works for the police. And I told her the story and she said immediately, call the police. So I called and I talked to just the non-emergency line. I told them my story and I never expected to hear from them again. I thought they would just, write it, file it, whatever. So the constable called me back. He said, "Okay, start from the beginning. Tell me the story." And I told him the story and I was very apologetic. I'm like, "I don't want to waste your time. I don't want, I'm sorry." And he said, "No, that feeling of fear you felt, that is your body's response. So even if your brain doesn't understand it, your body does. And we take that actually very seriously." And I was very surprised. And he said I had a right to be freaked out in the situation. He ran all the address and the information, and the name the man was using on Facebook was a version of his real name, but it was not his real name. Again, I think I'm pretty with it. I ran in BC where I live, you can run someone's criminal record. So I ran it. There was no criminal record, but I found out that wasn't the guy's actual name. But the police officer did tell me currently he did not have a criminal record, but also he told me to immediately block him on all social media. And he was going to try to look into it a little further.
Well,
and I haven't heard back since.
Well, that your instinct, your gut, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's something that if there's a lesson here, there's a lot of lessons. Okay. But if there's one lesson is that we have to learn, all of us should rely on our gut. We need to trust our instincts, and you did the right thing. You brought your mom, right? But maybe your mom should have come to the door. I mean, or your partner should have picked up the jacket. you sound like a very nice person, and you obviously didn't want to hurt this guy's feelings. But yeah, going to a dark, creepy basement, nothing good could have happened there. I have a feeling.
Not at all. And I was angry with myself for putting myself in that situation without even thinking. But again, I've been selling and buying on Facebook Marketplace for, I don't know, 10, 12 years. It never even occurred to me. I mean, there's a digital footprint of exactly where I'm going. It never occurred to me that anything bad could happen. And that's where I was very naive.
Well, I'm glad that you're safe. And I know that you're going to be doing things a little bit differently in the future, right?
100%.
Absolutely. Allie, thank you for telling us your story and for being here. I'm certain that, we raised a few eyebrows and now people are going to be a little bit safer because of it. Thanks, Allie. You just have to be super careful when you're buying anything online because you really don't know who's on the other side. I mean, maybe it's a great person or, as we heard, maybe not. But, she hasn't proven that he's not a bad guy. But anybody who wants you to go down into their basement, there's some bad vibes going on there. All right, speaking of bad vibes, let's say this happens to you. You get a call from tech support from your bank. They say, oh, geez, Louise, we're here to help you. We've spotted some fraud on your account, and we just want to make sure that you're going to be okay. So would you go along with us and help us out? Well, CNBC reported about Marjorie Bloom. She's a widower who got a call from someone claiming to be a fraud investigator at her bank. That was PNC Bank. And he says to her that criminals are on the brink of draining her life savings using stolen data that they found about her online. So to keep her money safe, he says that she needs to act so fast and move all of her money out of that PNC bank. Now, she also has to keep it hush-hush because we don't want to alert the criminals that we're onto them, right? Not a word to anyone, he tells her, not even your children. So over the next month, Marjorie Bloom wire transfers, listen to this, $661,000. Oh my gosh, $661,000, her entire life savings. You guessed it. It was all a sham. Okay. Now, scams like this can snag just about anyone. So if you ever get a call like this, I want you to just hit up your official bank's number to double check and tell someone immediately about what's going on, someone you trust. I mean, don't keep it hush-hush. Remember, they always want you to move quickly. You don't need to move quickly, okay? And always contact your bank. Tell somebody, because I don't want you to be like Marjorie, lost $661,000. Let's talk about all the returns, because the holiday season came and went, and people are returning stuff like crazy. So where do the returns go, say, from Amazon, Target, or Walmart? Well, they go to what's called a bin store, and they're sold at prices that you're just not going to believe. So here's how you get these deals. People everywhere are heading to strip malls across America, just waiting in these lines to get into what's called a local bin store. They're on the hunt for like iPhones and tablets and computers, returns and overstocks and liquidations. I bet there's a bin store near you right now. Now, to find one, just head over to good old Google and search phrases like Amazon return stores near me, bin stores near me. And remember, this is an adventure, okay? You'll find everything from brand new stuff to tiny flaws to overstock items, but you have to be smart. Some things might be damaged, and there's probably some counterfeits in the mix. Now, if it is something tech, if it is something electronic, I want you to make sure that you can plug it in and try it out, because usually you're not allowed to return anything. All right, let's go back to all of your phone calls. Billy in Beaumont, Texas. Hi, Billy.
I'm just so pleased to be able to talk to the digital pro Kim Commando. That's just amazing. I've never been on the live talk show thing, but anyhow, I'll tell you my ordeal. I'm trying to get my dad's. He's a agent. I'm his caretaker, but he's far from incapacitated. He still drives and mows his lawn and stuff like that. But anyhow, he requested me to see if he could get a FaceTime with him, what we call FaceTime. He said, you see on TV where people call, the caller's on the TV screen when he talks to them. And I said, I'm trying to see if I can do that for you, Dad. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's.
So I'm looking for the easiest path to that.
So this way that you could call him using a TV instead of a phone.
Well, yeah, he don't do good. Just talk, but he face to face he does better.
Okay.
And probably just when he's at home and when he calls me, I may can teach him later to get a little more on a face-to-face on a phone. But, if he's at home and he needs to let me know something, he calls me in and I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, I probably put a, little digital camera on this big screen TV or something to FaceTime. But I'm just looking around those lines.
Well, you can certainly use the TV, and there's a product called Call Genie, and that's Call and then Genie, Call Genie, and they sell this package that basically it's a webcam in a box, and it connects directly to the TV, so it can accept and answer video calls through Skype. And so you just have to call them on Skype, and then their TV will automatically switch over and connect to a video call. It sounds really great, but there are better options that don't include the TV. The only reason why I bring that up is because you mentioned the TV, and that whole setup that I talked about, this Call Genie package, is $500.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, and it only works, that one way. Okay. Where you can call him, he can't call you. A better option is for you to get 2 Amazon Echo shows. They're about $89 each. Okay. And they have various sizes, 5-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch. Get the one that you can afford. You get one at your house. He has one as his house. You can put it right on a table, right by where his favorite chair is, where he watches TV.
That'd be good too. That'd be just,
And so what happens is when you set up these Amazon Echo shows, is that, Billy, you're going to say, like, these are the people who can get through to Dad's Echo show. And then you're going to set his up that he can contact these people. Okay. And so when he wants to get a hold of you, he just has to say, Alexa, drop in on Billy. Okay. Yeah. And then your Amazon Echo show frame will go gray for about 10 seconds, and suddenly your dad's face is right there. Okay. You can say, drop in on Dad. And again, it works reverse, and his screen will go gray, and then suddenly you'll see him. If you have the Alexa app on your phone and you're not at home by that Echo frame, is that you're going to get a notification that way too. But it also has something else as a caregiver that I think you'd really like and take advantage of, is that you can sign up with something called Alexa Together. And what that means is that you can set up alerts. And so you'll get a notification the first time your dad uses that Echo device. You can see how active he is. You can he can get reminders to take certain medications. He can watch the news. He can play music, audio books. He can use this, and you can set it up so he could say, Alexa, turn on the hall light, turn on the bedroom light, whatever it may be. So it becomes more of a tool for him than just going through the TV.
I think that's actually probably what he did see. Instead of the TV, he pointed toward TV. He's seen the one where they're FaceTiming on this little device you're talking about.
Okay, well, that's what it is. And I'll tell you, there's also what's called a circle of support that you can set up. And I know because you mentioned that you're the caregiver, is that you can set up other people so they can also get emergency notifications, and they can look at what Dad's been doing and get alerts and things like that. And it's like $20 a month, but it really.
that's worth that.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. So,
is this come through your phone line service, or would it be through
through the Wi-Fi
DSL or
through
Wi-Fi? Yeah, it'd be through a DSL service.
Yeah, so it'd be coming through Wi-Fi. And again, it's the Amazon Echo Show. We've got a lot of information about this over at my website, commando.com, because as maybe you heard, or maybe you, as a longtime listener, as my mother's caregiver, as I journeyed her through her pancreatic cancer nightmare, really was what it was. But I found that using an Amazon Echo Show was really great for me to keep tabs on her, and for her to feel like she was never alone. And the grandkids would come in through the Echo Show, and siblings and aunts and uncles and cousins and things like that. It really is a really great device. I wish I could tell you 2 other products like it that can do it better, but unfortunately, this is just it. And it really is wonderful. Again, it's the Amazon Echo Show. And Billy, thank you for your call today. Yeah, caregiver tech, really, really helpful stuff. All right, if you've been listening to the show or pod for a while, you know that I'm a car gal. I mean, you might see me tooling around in a Gullwing Mercedes or a 1964 Mustang or my truck, 1946 truck. I love my truck. Now, here's the deal. So I was on the hunt for some new tech to tell you guys and gals about, like Volkswagen. They have new climate control system that will heat or cool your car as you approach the car. And forget heated seats for EVs. Now they're going to have heated seat belts and steering wheels, because this way they don't lose so much juice on the battery. Now, coming up soon, we have AR dashboards. On your windshield, you can see restaurant reviews, hotel room rates, and so much more. If there's somebody who's walking down the street, you know it's going to be highlighted. Smart tires will get real-time alerts. Car wheels will rotate 360 degrees so you can finally parallel park. Thank you, Jesus. All right, for a list of all of these, head over to commando.com, and there we have a list of all the new car tech that you're definitely going to want to know about. Jack in Scranton, Pennsylvania, glad to have you with us.
I have a question about some of these streaming devices. The basic ones are the Roku and the Fire Stick and stuff like that. But a more advanced one is it's called a VC box, and it's got like hundreds of channels, particularly local channels and all. And it's got lots of movies and stuff like that access to. And I'm curious as to, they sell it on Amazon. Are there any drawbacks to getting a box like this?
These are basically what's called a Kodi box. Now, Kodi is legal. It's a media player, and it can be used to access pirated content, which is illegal. Okay. Right, and these boxes have been around forever, and they advertise, free streaming of HBO and regional national sports and local channels through heat servers and, Netflix and whatever they can get their hands on, and all the latest movies. Basically what you're doing is you are being a pirate, matey. And normally it's right now, I think this one's coming from a Chinese company that's distributing this. Some of these movies are being recorded on handheld devices. Sometimes you may get malware on your home network
I didn't know that.
because it is pirated content. And just because they're sold on Amazon or Walmart or eBay or whatever, doesn't mean that they're legal. They are 100% illegal. And typically what happens is that one box comes out, and then they get shut down after maybe 6 months or 12 months in business. And then they pop back up with another brand, another name, whatever it may be. But it's basically the same box. And so it's like whack-a-mole. So you may get the box, and it may work for a little bit. Is it going to work for the long haul? No. I wouldn't get one, Jack. And I don't recommend that anybody else does. Just stay away. And I know that streaming is expensive, and if you're looking for ways to cut the cable and not spend a ton of money on streaming services, well, there are ways to do that. We've got lists of free places that you can get legitimate content, including your local library. And a lot of people are like, the local library, what is that about? Yes, they offer digital subscriptions. You've also got places like Crackle and UB. And then don't forget, there are other services that you just have to watch, and you'll see some ads. And then you can just get free trials for the services that you do want to see. But we've got tons of information about all that great stuff on the website, Jack. So just say no. Just say no. And thanks for your call. All right, let's see. Lewis in Lubbock, Texas. Glad to have you on board with us.
Well, thank you for taking my call. I've been a listener for years, but this is my first time to call you.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I used to travel quite a lot by highway, and I always took you along for the ride. And I have recommended your site to many people who are having some sort of problem, not necessarily all digital, but just some sort of problem.
Oh, well, thank you. You're awfully sweet. And let me tell you, Lewis, you're a good driver. You are. You're a good driver. You scared me that one time on the ice. Just want to let you scare me that one time.
Well, that once is okay. I mean, that just keeps you awake.
Yeah, there is that. 100% on that. So what's going on? How can I help you out?
I'm calling in reference to my daughter. She's an adult. She's been having an awful time finding some employment that she can do from home. She's a summa cum laude Bachelor of Arts Business Administration major,
Wow.
She's a self-starter. She's dedicated. And she has this weakened immune system, which took her out of the job market for a while. But now she's trying very hard to get in. And she's contacted a lot of these job shops on the web. I won't mention them by name, but you probably know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, they have been unsuccessful because each client requires literally days of unpaid training. And sometimes the training overlaps, but it's still required to do. And then once she gets a job, adherence is defined as being available. And if unavailability is due to a network problem or a server problem, that doesn't count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can only work for one of these people, one of these clients at a time through most of these job shops.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what you want to do at that point is you want to go direct to an employer, okay? And so you can, for example, pick some big companies like Amazon, right?
Okay.
Amazon has a whole section of remote career opportunities that instead of going to a particular service or agency, is that you go to a big company. So if there are companies that I would ask her companies that she respects, large corporations that she might want to work for, and then to go to their career section and then to look for remote opportunities, remote jobs, and to see which ones that she would like to apply for. Because even though a lot of the workforce is going back, I mean, let's face it, the pandemic's over, and I know people are still getting COVID, and I know people are sick. I have a friend of mine who's been sick for 2 weeks with COVID. But for the most part, people are back in the office, and we are here at the show and inside the studios. But if you're looking for opportunities, there are still work-at-home opportunities, but I think you're going to probably find them within the bigger organizations. Now, you can go to sites like LinkedIn and Indeed and ZipRecruiter and FlexJobs and look for work-at-home opportunities, and you may find those too tied with the bigger corporations. But I just want you to be careful that there's a lot of scams sometimes on these sites too, where you're going to have to pay money in order to make money. So that's why, I like to recommend going to the bigger companies if she wants to just work for one company. And again, look at their career section and then see what type of gigs might be available there. Also at commando.com, we've got a lot of links to work-at-home opportunities that are legitimate. Anything from being an online juror to a tutor, to being a virtual assistant, a call center representative, whatever it may be. And just hit work at home inside the search box, and I'm certain that a whole bunch of things will pop up for you. Louis, thank you so much for being such a long-time listener and first-time caller. What took you so long, huh? You're my buddy. We traveled the far and wide together. If I can lend a hand afterwards, Louis, just reach out. I'm here for you. Now, believe it or not, there used to be a code of honor among hackers, and hospitals and schools and transit systems and children were supposed to be off limits. Not anymore. Well, cyber attacks on U.S. schools have doubled. Hackers are eyeing up your children's info like progress reports, grades, their attendance, and more. Why? Because they want to steal their identities, because kids have untouched credits pristine. Okay. So what should you be doing with your kiddos? You want to freeze your child's credit report if they have one. You want to put that freeze until they're old enough to apply for credit for themselves. Now, you're going to need to gather up the right documents. This includes your child's birth certificate, their social security card, and proof of your address. For that, you can use something like, a utility bill, a cable bill, or something like that. Then you're going to want to contact the 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Then request the freeze through all of them so that this way it's going to stop the fraudsters from opening any new accounts in your kid's name. And if you don't have kids or maybe you have grandchildren, make sure that you pass these wise words along too. And just a quick reminder, tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show, because after all, knowledge is power. And you can always find me 24/7 at commando.com.